So what have you been up to, David? It's been a while.
I don't really know. I'm not sure. Not much. Enjoying the new place in South Carolina. Enjoying.
When did that happen?
A few months ago. Remember? Yeah, we couldn't do no running water anymore. It just about a year of no running water gets you. You're like, yeah, it's time to not do this anymore. Along with all the other things that were going on at the other place. So we are now in a nice semi-suburban small town, South Carolina, which is amazing to be able to go to the grocery store in 5 minutes and not turn it into like a day trip to go shopping.
Yeah.
The commute to the university in Georgia sucks now, but everything else is good.
Good.
Yeah.
There's a nice cemetery across the way here, which is decommissioned, so it's now run by the town. So that's a nice. I don't know if it replaces the woods because we were on 9 acres of woods, but it's a nice place to walk, so that's fun.
Yeah,
that's good. Hang on, let me just.
I did about 8 months without running water. Yeah, and I feel you.
Yeah, it gets old, and the amount of money spent on like bottled water and stuff because there was nothing to. There's a creek on the place that we were at. There's a creek down in the woods, but like there's hog farms and chicken houses right there.
Yeah.
So you really don't want to. The amount of filtering that would be necessary to make that anything that you could use would be too much.
Yeah.
So it's one of my. I really enjoyed the song. It's "What Would You Do When Your Well Runs Dry?" You know, there's a bunch of different versions of it. It's like an old country song, blues song.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed that song, and then got to live it, and that was not as enjoyable as the song. So.
Not as advertised.
I think it's a good exercise to like live that way for a while though, because you understand like the world that we live in now is so artificial in a way.
Yep. Yeah. You realize, well, and I mean, even that's like with the bottled water and stuff like that. I realized that, even that like surviving without the water.
I wasn't doing bottled water. I was like, I bought 5-gallon buckets with lids at Home Depot.
Oh yeah, and
I would fill those up, and I had water catchment. I built water catchment so I could get the rain. So I mean, it wasn't that bad, but I had no plumbing, which meant, I was using sawdust and ashes for the bathroom and buckets.
Did you start looking
buckets? Everything was about buckets.
It's true. Yeah, when you got to wash your dishes and stuff.
Yeah,
you get the various buckets of different levels of water, of cleanliness, and it's a thing.
I had a Coleman stove so I could heat up the water.
Yeah. You ever see Jim Baker advertise his buckets?
Oh yeah.
You can eat out of it and then poop into it.
That was the best one where there's the one where he like takes the bite out of the like potato soup or something, and it's super disgusting, and he's like, "Oh, this is delicious."
It looks so gross.
and then the one where he's showing like that you can make a table out of it and you could use it as the bathroom and like
multi-purpose buckets.
Yes.
Been there. It's true. You can. Buckets are multi as Joe.
5-gallon buckets, dude. Like you can use it as a stool.
Yep.
No pun intended. You can use it as a toilet. You can use it as carrying water. Yes, but I had like buckets that I marked like, this is a water bucket. Thou shalt never shit in this bucket. Yeah.
Oh man, so Tucker Carlson, he's on our radar.
Oh my god,
he won't get off our radar.
He's set foot in the game, hasn't he? Now
he has.
But he's been. I mean, since Fox News, he's been drifting into this space. I mean, he had that the graphics for his UFO portion of his show on Fox News were pretty great. It was like a UFO coming into a city, and then it was like Fox UFO, like kind of like it was a nice little thing. But this last one, you're talking about the current 93 one with the nurse with wound and the guy just dropping names. That was weird.
And it was so strange to hear Nick Land's name mentioned on a Tucker Carlson.
The one after, just the recent one,
Yeah. This is the reason, and it's like he's like set foot properly into the what we've been calling Satanic Panic 2 for a while, but that is Satanic Panic is back, capital B, right now, is what it feels like, and it's I didn't expect it to be quite as intense as this, but I've been getting emails from Christians already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's begun. I mean, it happens every now and then anyway. But
welcome to the club. Yeah,
the frequency is increased again. So it definitely. I mean, wow, that interview, the one that you posted on the Discord, Joe, that was something else. That was and that's
and that article that I posted that cross references it, which is funny because that article opens up talking about a BBC thing from 92, or I'm in it. They showed up in San Francisco, and somehow they found me, and they're like, show us where the cyber elite hang out. And I'm like, I'll show you some people, but they were weird. That crew was weird. They tried to represent themselves as doing something that they really weren't doing. They were saying like, oh, we're into this new cyber thing. We want to like find out what it's about. And they were really kind of halfway trying to bash it. And then, they went and got people like Nick Land, who like when I finally saw the thing about 2 years later on PBS, I think it was, I was like, God damn, what are they doing? Yeah.
But what's the, how far does it go, do you think, this time? Like, the last time, I mean, are they going to, how witch trial-y do you think this is going to get? Because,
here's the thing that we don't have in our favor this time, which is, like who's in charge, and is there a resistance? I mean, is there a noticeable resistance? And there's not. It's like, I know more people that I would have considered on our side. I'm just using general terms, that folded because like, I might not get my promotion. What the fuck?
Well, there's also stuff like, I mean, within the occulture has that weird satanic panic of its own, of like the like neo-Gnosticism, which thinks that everything's a conspiracy. So like you have that, and then you also have legitimate cases like in Mexico, right, in South America, where like narco culture is abridging up against magical religious beliefs. So you can actually pull out examples of human sacrifice and like
right.
That's
what blows my mind is that there are actual things to be scared of or upset about or rally against. But what I'm noticing is people getting upset and panicked about things like alarm clocks, for example. What is that about? There's real evil in the world that you could get upset about.
Hey, alarm clocks are evil.
Right,
I don't use them. I don't use them. I mean, who wants to be jolted awake in the morning?
Not I.
Not me either.
So maybe we need to join that one. Sorry, Willow. We're on that. We're on the anti-alarm clock.
Oh no.
I have a cat that wakes me up every morning. I don't need an alarm clock.
That's nature's alarm clock. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think the other thing that's different this time as well is that, like you said, there's no resistance, but there's no the left doesn't seem to control as much as the kind of countercultural media anymore, does it?
No, they don't. We lost.
Yeah. That's scary as well. So it's like,
well, and the other thing is like the culture, the occult community. I guess I could use that word. Many people that you could count on to be like in the 90s, you could have counted on some people. I'm not going to use names. We could say some names. You could count on these people to like be on the side of standing against this kind of thing, are now on the side of furthering this kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing is we lost a lot of people in the early 2000s and the late 2000s even.
And it's even people within the occulture that are also
within the occulture. Yeah.
Still within the occulture. Like I'm not going to name any names, but there's
exactly. Yeah.
There's some podcasters that say that
yeah,
a particular one I'm thinking of, but that is like very much sort of pushing this strange. I don't quite get that person's agenda at all, because they're technically.
If you look back in history, though, that person has a history of this kind of thing in a way.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like I don't quite see the end goal.
About.
I think we both know exactly who. But I'm sure people in the audience will as well.
You might even consider them an influencer.
Yeah, potentially.
A couple, actually. You know what? Not just one. A couple. A couple people that I thought would have had my back in the 90s. Don't have our back now.
No. Yeah.
And when I say I'm not necessarily even a leftist anymore because the left has gone haywire. I'm not even a centrist. I'm just like a person that believes in personal sovereignty and freedom, and I don't believe in religion, and I don't believe in witch hunts on the behalf of religion. And all I've seen over the years is like, and I've lost a lot of friends in the occult community over people jumping into, just to make it easy to put a term on it, the QAnon agenda, like people jumping onto that. And I was like, it's really kind of been happening with rapidity more and more since about 2014, I noticed.
Yeah.
That's when I started, like, people that I knew in the occult community who I would have considered them leftists, and they would have too. They won't admit it now, but they would have then. Becoming, telling me things like, I'm into neo-reactionary. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, this guy Moldbug. And I'm like, I'm looking at all this stuff. I'm like, where is this coming from? And I don't have any idea. I really don't.
Yeah, is it like Mencius Moldbug? Is that?
Yeah,
Curtis Yarvin.
Curtis Yarvin, yeah. But he was keeping that under his hat at that time.
Yeah, there seems to be, I guess what I don't quite get with it all is where it's always like the sympathizers that get shot first, isn't it, when the thing takes over? And it's like, what do they expect to gain from it? There's usually a gain or some sort of promise, or this is like when these people join the other side. What do they expect to happen after we all get cleared out? Like,
or the other question, and we could never answer this, but like, what was the thing that caused them to break? Right. And when I've pressed in on a few people, and I think I got sincere answers, because you can't be sure that you're getting sincere answers from everybody, because everybody's fronting like they want to be, I'm doing it because the cause, I'm trying to save the human race. Like, whatever. But one or two people, when I pressed in privately with them, it was, my boyfriend became trans. And so the whole thing is like, I gotta hate that whole thing. It's all the left's fault.
Yeah.
And, just like stupid shit like that. I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt. And you're like, it hurts my feelings. Okay. But don't take it out on the world.
Right. No, on a very base level, it's just about fear and hate, I think.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Isn't it always, though?
Yeah.
And I want for stability too. And I think like you see someone like Carlson, they have better media. I mean, like I saw this with like with the stuff in terms of when I was looking at the charismatic like exorcism culture and the way that it was coming out, kind of like the precursor to this current like thing. And their media is much more developed. It has a through narrative, I mean, there's a through line. It's much more coherent and cohesive.
And it's entertaining.
Yeah, and it's entertaining, exactly.
Because I don't think these people aren't really reading a lot of fiction or fantasy, probably, so they're having to displace their imagination's drive and creative drive onto these other fictions, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say they are reading fiction and fantasy. It's called the Bible.
Well,
Reading it poorly.
That's a great way when you can see someone's flipping, can't you? You can they start to talk about the Bible a lot, about Christian topics a lot. I'm going to be interested to see, because some of the authors who is the guy that Carlson interviewed? He's some Hollywood guy, isn't he?
I've never heard of this guy before.
No, yeah, I looked him up on IMDb. He's got like 1 or 2 things in his thing. He looks like he's like he mentioned something about maybe like his dad, I think, in that interview. I couldn't sit through the whole thing, but like I think that he's
it was very rambling.
Yeah. I think he's some sort of actor in Hollywood that may have family that had ties to older Hollywood, and he's doing some, because I wasn't even clear on what it seemed like he was doing a project on this or something that but I was talking to some people, and they were pointing out that almost everything he said was probably pulled from like Rejected Religion podcast and some other podcast, like maybe Mauve Zone, right? Like that he was basically just doing him of like, and it really made me reflect too, because like this is one of the reasons I stopped writing about Santa Muerta, was like it's a lived tradition, and I don't know that it's my place to be putting it into a public conversation that's so chaotic.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. It's I think that you had the kind of woohoo occult revival, like let's make everything like pop witchcraft and like TikTok witches and stuff like that. And this is kind of a rational kickback to that. And certainly it's not rational, right? But like it makes sense that there's going to be a kickback to that, because there's no stability in this sort of digital public conversation about these topics, which in the past were incredibly ingrained in community and sacred rites and that kind of thing. And it's become so popularized that without any kind of like communal base to it, beyond chat groups and like conversations and stuff, and we're in a culture that's collapsing, right? Like the whole global culture is shifting and breaking apart, and all of these things are breaking apart. So it makes sense that this is kind of going to arise and take over.
There's a lot of fear and desperation, people grabbing for something, anything. Yeah. Yeah,
but the thing that interested me was in that he named his friends, some authors in there, didn't he? That are kind of usually fairly middle ground. I think Lackman was one of them, wasn't it? He mentions Gary Lackman. And
I think so. Yeah.
And who's the other guy?
Is he in conversation with Lackman, or did he read the book?
Well, he mentions him when he's talking to Carlson.
No, I think he calls him a friend, and he also says.
But I'm saying he
yeah. But there's who's the other guy? We've interviewed him, Mitch Horowitz. He's the other person.
Oh yeah. He said he called him a Satanist.
Yeah, Satanist. That's a bit of a reach.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a reach.
Well, no, Mitch is an avowed Satanist.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, but in what sense?
Mitch is a self-identified Satanist. So
in the Temple of Satan kind of way, or in the church?
I think LaVey and Satan. Yeah.
Okay.
Satanism.
Right.
Oh, wow.
He's like a teddy bear, though. I mean, he's so non-threatening.
That's the devil's trick.
Yeah, right.
You've been tricked by his outward facade of normality.
I mean, if you tell me like LaVey type Satanism, then you're really non-threatening. It's like
yeah. I mean, I don't after all the research I've been doing.
LaVey was
last year. I don't consider that
carny, dude. Come on.
Yeah. And weirdly, we've just dropped an episode on this, and we talk at length with Nick Schreck about this. He's quite well versed in that world.
Who's kind of jettisoned that from his whole thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's but yeah, I mean, I don't consider the Veyan Satanists a threat. Like they're not like
or even serious.
No, yeah, a lot of the time, yeah. No, I thought you were going to say, oh yeah, he's like really down with David Myatt and the ONA. I'd be like, oh, okay, didn't know that.
No, he's like he's like Ayn Rand, like LaVey, I think is his vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we interviewed him,
and that's LaVey, basically Ayn Rand and
with Ritual.
Ragnarok Redbeard.
Yeah, it was like LaVey even said that. It was like it's Ayn Rand with rituals is what he was trying to do. So
yeah.
Speaking of Ayn Rand, have you heard of this guy John Todd, conspiracy theorist?
Why do that sounds familiar?
He helped influence the Weavers of Ruby Ridge.
Oh, yeah.
But he claims that Atlas Shrugged was actually a secret Illuminati handbook. He made all sorts of wild claims.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh no.
So was he connected to that church that Randy Weaver went to?
I'm not sure. He's connected to all sorts of things. He kept flip-flopping where he would be like a preacher for a time, and then he opened up an occult bookstore and was trying to start a coven, and then he went back to the Christian stuff, just really flip-flopping all over the place.
Well, yeah, the Weavers were a member of a white identitarian church.
Yeah. They invited John Todd to speak at one of their events, I believe.
That's right. Yeah. That's where I've heard the name.
The Weavers are these. This is Randy Weaver and it's
and his wife Vicky.
The guys up in the shack on the hill, wasn't it? Or the log cabin on the hill. Yeah.
Ruby Ridge.
That's it, Ruby Ridge. Yeah, I haven't thought about that in a long time. That seems like ancient. That seems like even back. Well, I mean, conspiracies are still okay.
That and Waco like popped off a bunch of shit, you know.
Yeah. That and 9/11. We did a whole show on this, Joe, didn't we? About when it all went dark and. That was kind of like the early fertile ground for it, and then I think 9/11 was the big one, wasn't it? That kind of kicked it off.
You had a lead up to that. It was like a domino effect. You had Ruby Ridge, Waco, and then you had Oklahoma City, which McVeigh was at Waco. Most people don't know that. He was sitting on the hood of his car selling stickers, bumper stickers, like all this Nazi kind of stuff. Because he was part of that city of Elohim in Oklahoma, where they were trying to start a white identitarian nation city around a church. It's always a church.
People the Church of Nazis.
Church of Nazis. Yeah.
It's the more and more. I mean, because I've been looking heavily into like the current conspiracies, and I just keep bumping into Nazi Satanists. I seem to have like opened up some kind of portal now. But
now you just like scratched off like some of the patina.
Yeah. Have you heard of a group called the Temple of Zeus before? They're fairly new. In fact, that name is fairly new. They used to be called the Joy of Satan Ministries. Have you heard of them? Oh my God! Right. So these guys, they got tax exempt status for a while in the US as a genuine religion. As the Joy of Satan Ministries. They have like a UFO, ancient aliens kind of belief system. They're massively racist, like massively. Like the first video they posted to YouTube, if you could look at Temple of Zeus on YouTube, and go down to the first video, it's where they're announcing their new name so that people won't ask them about Satan. It's quite funny. But it's just full of like proper old school anti-Semitism, like Jews are filthy, etc., all that kind of stuff. But the whole belief system is really strange. They were like run by this priestess called Maxine Dietrich, and they basically use like almost like the David Icke ancient alien kind of like reptilian thing. So the reptilians are like basically installed the Abrahamic religions in on Earth, so Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and then the Aryans, of course, were the opposing race. So it's like a sort of rehash of older kind of stuff, but they are crazy. But the thing that makes me laugh a lot about them is their graphic design is great. It looks like MS Paint stroke multimedia CD from the 90s, kind of, that look. There was that kind of strange glow-in look that everyone used to use. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of that. And even their logo is kind of this slightly blurry image of Zeus with like old school fonts that you haven't seen since the 90s. And they're a very, very strange group. You should look into them.
It sounds like they're Tracy Twyman 2.0.
They're like a very lightweight Order of Nine Angles in some ways. They've got the Nazi bit. They've got the kind of Satan bit. They believe that Satan. Oh, this is the other thing that's interesting about them. They what's the Yazidi peacock god called? It's Melek something, isn't it? Melek Tau.
Yeah.
They believe
the peacock angel.
Yeah, they believe that Melek Tau and I think Zeus and Saturn are Satan. So whenever so they do work with this Yazidi entity, yet they're racist, which is kind of strange. It's a really bizarre mishmash of stuff, and the alien stuff's really interesting. They claim that they can talk to aliens, and the alien, it's very, it almost becomes a bit Scientology-ish at times, and that I thought I'd found all these weirdos, but no, they just keep Dude,
you're not gonna ever. It's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah. No, but this one's great. I mean, I was like, oh, it's almost like a relief from all the Order of Nine Angle stuff, because at least these guys are a bit more fun. Like there's aliens and stuff, but like, it's not like weird child.
This sounds like Tucker needs to have you on, Ken.
Yeah, I could go on there, and I'm joining the other side, guys. Sorry.
Give the
real enough
the
to
real...
be on Tucker at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my paycheck and get the hell out of here.
Tucker's on X. That's his platform, right? Yeah.
He's part of a media conglomerate, though, isn't he? This is what they all do now. They all have like
probably, but
like almost like channels, don't they? They have like
he relaunched like with a big up from X. I know that.
But Shapiro's got one as well, hasn't he? The Daily, is it not the Daily Wire? Is it? It's
Daily Caller.
Something like that. It's some sort of thing where a bunch of people are under that kind of umbrella, aren't they? Like Jordan Peterson's part of it now, I think. And I'll talk about. He must be having a field day at the moment. Jordan Peterson. Because he went through this massive phase of didn't he get like hooked on some medication, didn't he? And then went off to Russia, came back, and now he just cries all the time. Like he just goes and cries all the time. But the other thing he seems to focus
withdrawal's a bitch, man.
Yeah, withdrawal and helping men apparently makes you cry a lot. But
and eating only meat. I think he needs a vegetable or two.
He probably needs to take a massive shit, but he can't.
Right.
Hence the tears. That's why you only see him from the.
I feel so stopped up.
I'd cry a lot if I sounded like Kermit the Frog. I think
I would too.
Yeah, but he started really leaning into the Old Testament stuff, didn't he? Recently, and
he wrote a whole book. He wrote a book that was widely panned by every biblical scholar in existence.
Was that recent?
All right.
He wrote one a while ago, didn't he? As well, I think that's always been an interest of his, the Old Testament, but he really lent into it recently. It seems to be all he talks about now.
Well, there's this massive pivot to this weird, not Christianity, this weird like anti-Christianity that they've all adopted somehow.
Cultural Christianity, they call it, don't they? I think
Justin Bieber's all like up there.
Oh, really?
Jesus and stuff. Yeah, it's really weird because they're not. There's nothing. I don't know. I mean, biblical.
I think they call it cultural Christianity, where it's where you act like a Christian, but you don't actually do the Christian stuff.
You could but they're weirder than that, right? Like it's not your average, like we're in the United States and we're Christian. Like it's not lazy Christianity. Like they're active, but they're not in any way embracing anything.
So cultural Christianity would mean I follow. I follow the 10 Commandments. What?
Christianity. I mean, like really, like with the weirdness that the weird thing with this is that they're taking it's almost like a post-evangelical view, right? Like the 10 Commandments and all that stuff. That's this sort of conservative weirdness, but like in an actual like, I mean, you can go to. They're leaning towards like perfectionism and pietism, but perfectionism and pietism reject the authority of the 10 Commandments to a certain extent, in the sense that Christ has come and relieved you of the law, right? And so that moves into like more of a like sort of open experience of reality, through the freedom of that, right? But like what they're doing is they have that kind of, but then also like a hard line, like let's readopt the Old Testament, which is clearly like cut and killed in the New Testament. It's a weird, like, it doesn't theologically make sense.
Yeah, I mean, Christ basically came and said, you don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you follow me, love God as you love your neighbor as yourself, and move on, right? Like,
here's some things you should do, and you don't have to follow the 10 Commandments, basically. I mean, but you do. Yeah.
Well, you end up
that's the
doing
thing,
it, right? It's the same thing like in like Buddhism, where you know, there's a lot of like prescriptions and like how you need to behave, but then once you get to a certain level of awareness, you just don't do those things, right? Like there's passages, there's sutras in Buddhism which talk about like, you know, people struggle to get rid of these attachments and these habits, but once you start to just focus on awareness and start to focus on beingness and embracing reality, those things drop off anyway. Like you're not sitting there like hungry for those things. So, you know, and in Christianity has that too. And it's really strange to see this, like, you know, I would call it anti-Christian, right? Like
I call it Christian nihilism, because like there's no praxis, therefore there can be no declared end goal that's desired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't quite get the Christian thing. Like you say,
yeah, it makes me think of like Hot Topic pagans, except
That's exactly,
for Christianity. That's what it is.
Yeah, but with more like violence and like vileness. You know?
Yeah,
well, I guess
right.
It's like if you took like the Hot Topic pagan and the kind of toxicness that kind of stirred in that culture, and then amplified it to like world leaders and business, like really rich like business people and executives and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's just sort of that. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
In a way, this is the same stuff that people like Paul Kingsnorth are talking about, because they've gone to Christian Orthodoxy.
Yeah.
But what the reason, because I admired Paul when he was an environmentalist, so I really looked into it. I'm like, I got to know what caused this weird thing that you're doing, and after listening to hours and hours and hours, I can boil it down to what he's saying, the things he's repeating, which is basically, you know, and part of it I agree with is like we've lost enchantment in the world, and I agree with that. And so the remedy for that, and this is the part I don't agree with, is that we have no direction as a culture, because we've lost the guiding principles of our culture, which is the Christian principles, blah, 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 which is essentially what you're saying, is like, there's like this Christianity that has to do with going through the motions almost. Like, you don't have to accept Christ. You just have to like live right.
Yeah, I mean, historically and culturally, like we have, you know, that's an interesting, but I don't think what we're seeing right now is necessarily that. I think that it's an opportunity that happened because we lost our cultural bedrocks of community, you know, and I think that like one of the things that I think.
Yeah, but Western culture was predicated on Christian values.
Yeah, but I mean, like what, like in the sense of like, not, you know, we don't kill a whole family when like the head of the family dies, right? I mean, like if you know, like we're not like burning people alive anymore when, you know, you don't like take your slaves and like arrange them around your corpse and, you know, they burn them, you know, I mean, and that's the thing is like we don't have a clear view of, you know, like you have people like, oh, I'm an Odinist. Like you do realize that like that involves like human sacrifice. Like there's some pretty clear things that like got like pushed away from the things, but then we've offset human sacrifice. Right now we have wars that like kill a ton of people, and we have, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's more complex, I guess, like than this idea of like we've lost these cultural standpoints. We've lost community. We've decentralized, you know, but community can exist without Christian. I mean, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, all the African traditions, Asian traditions, First Nation.
Well, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying that was what I heard, was like we've lost our way as a culture.
But see, and this is the question though, is like he spreads that idea, but like why is that myth taking hold? Because that's a myth too, right? Like I mean, like if you look at the history of the Constitution, well, it was like Cherokee, right? Like, it was Cherokee and Creek, like rules of governance mixed with like Greek rules, you know? And then we have this idea that, oh, the founding fathers were Christian. And it's like, well, no, Thomas Jefferson literally like cut apart the Bible to make it what he wanted.
Yeah. He was,
like,
you
know,
at
and
most he was a deist. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben Franklin certainly was not like following any kind of values. He had medical, like
he was a party animal.
He was a party animal and doing like, you know, unethical medical experimentation in his house in London, where they dug up all the bodies that he bought from grave robbers, you know. So like yeah, it's just a weird like why, and I think that this myth like has a power to it that like they're capturing, and I guess that's where like I would call it Antichrist, right? Like I would call it an Antichrist thing that's taking over, because these people are mean. They're mean. They're not, you know, this is not your nice like Christian like person who's gonna cook you cookies and like, you know, help you out. Like these are mean people that are true, like really damaged, and they're not like healed, right? Like they're not like free in that, and they're petty and they're like vicious.
These are church people. They're not Christians.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, church. Yeah, they're burros. Yeah, they're burros. You can never trust a religious person because they'll screw you and put God on it. You know.
These are the kind of people that thought it was cool and okay to like conduct the. God, why am I blanking? When they were killing everybody, the Christians were killing everybody. The
Inquisition.
Inquisition. Thank you.
Yeah,
I lost the word. These are the people that like those people. That's like, I'm doing this for God. I'm killing everybody for God.
The Christians that sided with slavery and like sided with you know, segregation and that kind of thing. And that's really that's what this. It's a mean, truly like, and again, I would say it's the Antichrist. Theo,
I doubt there were very many people that were part of the Confederation that would have told you that they weren't Christian. They would have told you they were pious Christians.
Yeah.
And then they were probably found like the 3 verses in the Bible where it said, "See, it's okay to keep slaves." It's like
that's exactly the kind of thing, you know. And it's interesting to see the splits in that, like when you see like Carlson going up against Ted Cruz, where Carlson is like quoting the Bible at Ted Cruz, and Ted Cruz is like saying, well, I'm a Christian, so like I support Israel. And Carlson is like, well, that doesn't work in the thing. It's an interesting thing because there's even splits within there, you know, within that, this weird kind of over cultural thing. And it's been coming. I mean, that piece that I did, the Satan's Target Your Mind, I did it back in 2013 when I saw exorcism books in Walmart. And truck stops and the grocery store, and thought it was weird and started looking into it. You know, it's been coming, and it's not like, if people look at Gary North, I mean, and even like this, if you go back to not the kind of surface level satanic panic stuff, but the actual deeper, like politically active satanic panic. I mean, one of the founding groups in the United States who kind of fomented the charismatic spiritual warfare movement. It was Werner von Braun's secretary and her husband who published missile defense stuff, or Chuck Missler later on, like, who became big because he started looking at UFOs as a satanic phenomena. Chuck Missler was a missile defense executive, right? Like he was a missile like in the weapons contractor kind of thing, executive, before he became an evangelist, which was focused on spiritual warfare and the rest of this stuff. So there's been this sort of like movement. It's just now it's crested and we're being washed over by it.
It's also, I think, who we trust our information from has changed as well, hasn't it? I mean, in general, I think that's a huge part of it as well, in terms of why people are kind of radicalizing a little bit more than they would have done before. Like, you know, when you've got people like Joe Rogan, a bigger, you know, media, you know, people now than Fox News even, or, you know, like, you know, CNN or whatever. Like,
there's no stability to the
there's no checks and balances. It's what we spoke about this before, didn't we? Like the journalists, if you hate them or love them, there is, I mean, especially they're still held to a standard at least, and they're kind of critiqued by their fellow journalists.
If you ever worked in the media, dude, that's questionable. But yeah,
I mean, I'd sort of do, and it is there. There is a check and balance. There is like agencies that will come in if a newspaper or a media conglomerate is publishing something that's too far out, that and it's pretending to be news. There are organisations that will go in and find them and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it does exist.
yeah, but they've become less and less influential.
Yeah, I would agree there as well. And I would also say that the kind of content that news agencies are putting out these days has changed. It's become more about entertainment than news. And
it's gone yellow.
News entertainment. Yeah, it's but I think it's even worse when you look at the independent sources, these umbrella things, like I'm talking about with like Carlson and Alex Jones had his, what was his one called Banned.videos, and
Alex Jones is a Christian, like hardcore too. Did you see him on Tucker Carlson?
Mm-hmm.
No,
that's another one that like that was wild. Like him talking about like I don't know, I can't even remember honestly, because I was like it
was end times revelation kind of stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was wild. And he was like sped up or something. Like he was either he's got a lot of energy or was on a lot of Red Bulls or like was just like
he's on one of those supplements he sells. What's it called?
Well, he's
Super Male Vitality.
He's probably feeling the heat because he's he's losing his money left and right.
Yeah.
What is that? And also he's losing his kind of USP a little bit as well, isn't he? Because everyone's an Alex Jones now. So he's got to be louder and more bombastic than ever because everyone's doing what he used to exclusively do, so he's lost his selling point, his kind of uniqueness. There's new Alex Joneses appearing all the time. I see it all the time. I watch a lot of political streaming content, and you see literally these kind of young kids coming up that sound and act exactly like Alex Jones, and they're pretty good at it, but it must be like fire under his ass a little bit, knowing that even...
Well, and it's interesting because he was like he was birthed by Bill Cooper, like so like he emerged from the Bill Cooper
AM radio.
Yeah.
And Coast to Coast gave him a big lift in the early days. Like George Norrie used to have him on
all the time
as a regular guest until I think he did something he did with Charlie Sheen, I think, that Norrie and Coast to Coast like had to let him go or like couldn't support what he was doing. I don't even remember what it was. It was something. But
there was a documentary about him where it was like a much later one than Ronson's one. It was like probably 6. I think Disinfo might have put it out actually. It was like it's a documentary about him, and he's complaining all the time about how people always leave him. And anyway, but there's a bit where he goes to a Bilderberg. He sort of breaks into a Bilderberg hotel. He doesn't even break in. He books in as a guest, I think, early. Gets in, and then he's on the phone to George Norrie, and on Coast to Coast AM.
Yeah.
This is only like a decade ago. So I mean, So he's definitely I mean, I reckon he's ramping up. He doesn't talk about any of that stuff anymore. The Bilderbergs, the Illuminati. It's just not on brand anymore, is it? It's strange.
No, it's not.
And it's none of them do. They're all talking about immigration and like ICE and all this
2016
kind of
they just made a hard shift over to the MAGA agenda.
Yeah.
And to the QAnon agenda, which was the MAGA agenda for the
the Steve Bannon agenda, really.
I mean, it's all the Steve Bannon agenda.
Steve Bannon,
like different brands of it, and the one that's like, if you're into mysticism and yoga and things like that, then that's MAGA. That's the QAnon thing for you.
Also, the Nick Land thing. I mean, he was talking about de-territorialization for a long time, and I wonder if and how that's a useful weapon against this kind of stuff. And if you look at kind of a lot of what's happening, this idea of de-territorialization does seem to be happening. Things being taken out of place and used. I mean, you were talking about the Christianity thing earlier on about it not feeling like a normal version of Christianity anymore. I wonder if this.
It's so amazing to me because we considered Land a leftist back in the early 90s.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was part of the kind of like feminist kind of side of things, wasn't he? Originally,
yeah.
Like CCRU was literally a feminist thing, wasn't it? It was a feminist take on cybernetic culture.
Yeah. Yep.
What was the name of the woman? Sadie something. She was the original Sadie Plant. That's it. Yeah. She was the original kind of progenitor of that group, wasn't she? And then Land kind of steamrolled it. From what I can tell, it's really hard to tell with them because they fictionalize so much of their That was their thing, wasn't it? To sort of fictionalize everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Hyperstition, man.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, yeah, things have gone a bit crazy, haven't they? Basically, is kind of. But the thing that annoys me is that there's not the pushback. It's like you were saying earlier, Joe. There's not the. Where's the opposition to it? It's just not there, is it?
It's crumbled. It's crumbled.
Yeah, the left's too busy.
But and it's also infected though, because I mean, like with the fact that and this again, like the where that guy on Carlson, I think that's a really nice way to look at this. Who did he source, right? Like Lockman, Horowitz. And these are, Horowitz is on every documentary saying how Satanism is fine and it's perfectly okay.
Right.
But then you have the opposition that could literally lead to people getting hurt, right? Like citing him and being like, this is where it's at. And it's this, part of it, I think, is it's the kind of commercialization of this stuff where, if that sells more books, well, then I'm going to go on another podcast and talk about it. You see that with the UFO thing where Nick Redfern was going on documentaries with, right-leaning spiritual warfare people to talk about the Collins elite. The Collins elite is a good example of this, where like the very people who talk about it and support it are, people that would be the defense against this stuff becoming radicalized in a way that is going to be problematic for people, to be demonized in that. And it's to sell books and it's to sell a persona, and it's because the people there's no grounded reality. It's just, people on podcasts. I guess we're here on a podcast, but like, I mean, it's just like, it's just people being their persona. I'm the guy who wrote the book on the occult thing, and like, oh, okay, I'll go on the show. Like, I'll go on this show, like, with no thought to the wider kind of systematic like reverberation.
Exactly. That's why when I read Redfern's book when it came out, what was it, 2010 or whatever it was, or 9 or somewhere in there.
Yeah,
it's like he didn't push back on any of it.
No.
He didn't even do a thesis antithesis.
Right.
He just laid out their fucking agendas. Like, this is what they say. And I'm reading this stuff and I'm like, well, I've heard some of this murmured, but I've never seen anybody like lay it out end to end.
Right.
And I think he constructed a lot of that.
Yeah. And we knew, I mean, we talked about it at the time when it came out. We were talking about how this was going to be problematic, that it was.
And it was.
And it has been. And
it is.
Increasing. Yeah, now it's increasing. And problematic in my mind was a certain level of problematic. But now that we have like literally at least in the United States, the leadership, taking this mind.
Yeah, neither one of us saw that coming, did we?
No, I mean that's a level of, I was talking to a friend, and like the fringe is like collapsing into the center, and it's like causing this like almost like it's worrisome because that's a nuclear reaction, right? All that pressure on like one atom, and it's like the fringe is like becoming normalized. I mean, you had J.D. Vance talking about he believes in UFOs that could be demons or something like that on a recent like interview.
There you go.
Like this is problematic. I mean, like it's problematic because it's not a grounded, actual, real look at these topics. It's a very weaponized, very loose understanding of this stuff that's getting thrown out there, and it can have real world consequences. I mean, like Joe, people show up with guns. Like this is not.
They're also obsessed with demons too.
Yeah.
And again, it makes me think of the alarm clock thing, the Hatch alarm clocks that people are throwing out. They're like, oh, I have to get rid of this demon-possessed object.
Wait a minute, I don't know about this, Willow. Tell me about this.
This alarm clock company, their whole thing is that it wakes you up slowly and peacefully. A lot of people buy them for their babies or their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a Halloween marketing campaign where they're implying that your phone is actually the demonic device that's keeping you from sleeping well and distracting you and letting things into your house. And that their product, their product is like the solution to that, because it will help you get in a good sleep schedule or a sleep ritual.
Really? They actually lay it out like that? It's like, your phone is demon possessed and letting things into your house, so buy our thing that blocks those.
basically,
Really?
but it's like tongue in cheek, like a horror movie commercial. But people took
There's a
it the
Halloween thing.
opposite. Yeah, and they're thinking that the alarm clock is in fact the demon infested
Of course they
device.
do. Yeah.
Right, because the commercials show like, oh, there's a woman playing with tarot cards. Oh no. So people are very performatively throwing away their alarm clocks and uploading videos and saying like, oh, get rid of your Hatch alarm clock. But like you can get rid of the device, sure. But the demons that are bothering them, like that's not going to make it go away. Their worldview is still going to make demons manifest in their house all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one thing that doesn't surprise me about the MAGA thing. I think you might have posted this as well, Joe, on the Discord. The light systems thing.
Yeah.
You know, that was weird. Like who was the guy? There was like a guy who's like, he's a media guy as well, isn't he? And he started this light systems company where you buy a screen essentially that has mantras on it, and that somehow has some influence on the MAGA.
I mean, it reminded me of the stuff we were doing in the 90s with the brain machine with the light pulsations. If you remember those.
Yeah, those things you could buy them, couldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, you could make them. Actually, I made mine. I had a schematic that I bought from somebody for like $1. They sent me in the mail, and I like went to Radio Shack and when that was still a thing, and like soldered this stuff together, and it worked. It's like you just needed some LEDs and some simple electronics, and you could build your own. But basically, it was like you put a mask on, and there was LEDs inside the mask, and they did light pulsations, and you could control the pulsation sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you did it when you're on psychedelics, it was phenomenal. I'll just say I've heard that. So I've heard. But
did you see the price of
the same thing? Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like 13 grand, isn't it, for a pyramid?
Yeah, and the claims are just like, why isn't the FDA coming down on these people, man?
They probably haven't got any funding anymore, have they?
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, they're claiming like it can cure cancer and like this like crazy shit.
Yeah, but the guy that it was originally run by a kind of quite new agey woman, wasn't it? And then this guy took it over and marketed it, and now I think you can visit, like they have like spas almost, don't they? Like
they have like these
salons,
centers.
Yeah,
spas
centers.
Basically. Yeah. You can go. You can be bathed in in flashing lights and colors. It's also color sequenced.
It sort of reminds me a little bit of the what was the app that you knew the developer of the app, the quantum thing?
Randonauts.
Yeah, Randonauts. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that, because it's this quantum thing again, isn't it? But they've kind of done some dipshit.
Well, the Randonautica thing is basically like I was playing with that stuff too. It's like the Randonautica thing is kind of very different, actually. It's like you're being sent to a place randomly on a map that is centered around probability of something happening in this sector. Like so you go there and something. I had a great weird experience with it. Like the first time I did it, I got this great experience. Like it showed me a place like a couple of blocks down from where I live, and I walked down there, and it was a dirt road, and I walked down there, and there was this guy's house, and the pin was like in his yard, and where the pin was a red filing cabinet sitting next to his garage.
But wasn't there some intention thing behind it as well, though? You had
you
had to like sort of put something out into the ether, didn't you? And then but it's the same. That's the kind of connection I was thinking, because I think you have to do the same with this. The idea is that you have a intention, and then you're bathed in, well, you're near these screens, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all kind of ridiculous, actually. I think I put the video on the Sitting Down Discord, didn't I?
Yeah.
You might want to check it out.
And all this stuff is interesting because it's like stuff that was sold in like amazing stories in the back. Like this is the sci-fi magazines from the 60s, like the back ads, comic book like toys that were based on like some offshoot of like weird stuff that was happening. I mean, one of the like the crystal healing bowls, right? Like those sound, like the not the metal ones, but like the crystal
ones,
like sound bowls. Those are semiconductor crucibles, and like they were just like industrial waste from the semiconductor industry, and somebody like in the lab like happened to ping it and it made a tone, and then they brought it home and started using it. But now you look it up and it's like, oh, this is this super healing device that was discovered. Like, no, it's literally semiconductor industrial waste that like these were the ones that were slightly flawed, right? Like they were the ones that weren't like good enough to pour the stuff into. So it's just weird like how this stuff gets picked up and then turned into, and all it takes is marketing. And I think that's, again, like I think it's the internet. I mean, it's this hyper connectivity is causing this, because it decentralizes, but it also empowers these things to look bigger than they are. It empowers these ideas to have a platform that they never would have had in the past, because of not so much. I don't think Ken. I think I sit between you and like Joe, like where the centralized media wasn't necessarily better or worse for giving the truth, but it at least gave a coherent narrative that was structured across all channels.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing it did. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to go to like a weird looking like Xerox copy of something to get the weird information. But like now it's all spread out, and like it's and there's obviously no, the other thing would be that you would hope that in moving up to be in a leadership position in the culture, there would be some sort of training that would be to protect you, to sort of insulate you from these like wild worldviews and like different like angles. But it doesn't seem that that's happening either. So people literally
universities have stopped allowing that sort of thing to happen. That's what universities used to do. The idea of a university was that you would encounter these kind of fringe ideas or these kind of dangerous ideas and then discuss them amongst a group of peers. Universities would often invite people like onto a campus that were against, ideologically opposed to everyone in the room, deliberately, so that they could encounter this kind of but now they don't do that anymore. So there's that element that schools don't do it anymore. It's all too risky. Everything's too everyone's too worried about getting sued or getting blasted.
Here in the United States, you get your funding cut off.
Yeah. But it's
gotten very antagonistic here, actually. Like if you don't entertain the type of ideas that we agree with, we're going to shut you down. And I mean, even institutions as big as Harvard went up against it.
It's worrying, and it's I think the other problem is that both sides need to stop attacking internally, if that makes sense. Like, especially on the left, they need to stop attacking each other and focus on the actual problem, rather than that's like really, really big now. Like, rather than bickering. There's a lot of bickering going on. I think bickering is a big problem. I try and avoid.
Well, there's a lot of people shooting each other in the foot that they shouldn't be, but they are.
People are way too concerned about what others are doing and believing and wanting to change what others believe, and I just don't get it.
No. Yeah. Especially when there's like a mass, to me it just feels like the enemy's at the gate and everyone's just too busy bickering to notice them come through the gate. Almost, it's kind of what
absolutely
it feels like to me.
That dude. That's what's happened. Not happening. Happened.
Yeah, and it's worrying. It's like, and don't you feel like
the Trojan horse is not only in the courtyard? It's opened up and the soldiers came out. Okay, that's where we are.
Aside from like the tentpole sort of news issues like Israel, Ukraine, all this kind of stuff, it also feels like everything else is kind of what I call distraction politics. It's lots of little things that kind of play into these. It's part of that entertainment thing I was talking about earlier. It's the sort of stuff that didn't used to be covered on the news that is suddenly covered on the news, and it's weird. It's like look over here and ignore what's going on over there. It's like there's
spectacle.
It's
well,
like
it's that, but it's also like, and I'm not gonna name names here, but I've had some dealings in the last couple of years with some major media companies that publicly would never admit this, but there's an agenda. There's a political agenda that's taken over some of these organizations. And I'm definitely not down with the agenda. I'm like, I'm an enemy of their state, basically. That's what I found out. Like in dealing with them, I'm just like, wait, what? You know, like, no, it's like there is a takeover, a cultural takeover that has happened in some major media organizations in this world, and they're worldwide that I've dealt with, that they have an agenda. They would never state it publicly. They would never even state it privately because you might be recording them, but their actions speak louder than their words. And if you say something offhand, like, you know, like fuck that Trump guy or something like that, you're out. You're done. You're not allowed to have that opinion.
Yeah, it's worrying, isn't it?
Yeah. And these are organizations that I would have thought were to the left, and they're not anymore. That's the thing. Privately, they're not. Because, you know, the first thing is they never were, really, because they wouldn't fold so quick. So they had a public stance of being to the left because that's what they thought was going to get them audience. But now that that's not necessarily true, or it might put them in peril of getting funding or staying alive as an organization, they folded. They just folded like a cheap suit. So they never were against what they said they were against. That was a stance. You know what I mean?
But a lot of them will just go where the money is, won't they? I mean, it's
about money, dude.
Follow the money, as they always say.
Yeah. It's about the money.
Yeah, it is.
So it never was about, you know, like ideology, doing the right thing, all this horse shit that they say publicly. Never was about that.
No.
It's like if we have that attitude publicly, then we'll gain audience that way, which is not the reason to do something.
No.
It's not the reason to create art. It's not the reason to do anything, to be honest with you. Except if you want to make some money, pay the bills, you know, like, yeah, okay.